Dutch journalist Ernst Arbouw is in Ottawa on a mission. It all started when he was back home in his little village outside Groningen in Holland.
I was sitting at home, browsing the web, and I found a picture of a tree in a woodland in our village, and it said HWR, Toronto, Canada.
Arbouw knew that the markings were likely made by a Canadian soldier. He'd grown up hearing about how Canadians liberated his country at the end of the Second World War.
It's Canadian cemeteries.
He thought if he tracked down the vet, it would make a great story. But with only the initials to go on, he didn't have any luck with Canadian officials.
And then I put in his initials in a database for the Commonwealth war graves. I don't really know why I did that, but it turned up a name, Harold Wilbert Rossell from Toronto. And it checked out because his unit had been stationed in our village.
Arbouw discovered that Private Harold Rossell had been killed in a decisive battle against the Germans. He was 21. It was most likely Rossell etched his name into the tree just days before he died. Amazingly, Arbouw was able to find a photograph in Dutch archives of Rossell's temporary grave, with tulips being laid upon it. Arbouw made it his mission to find Rossell's family in Canada, and it wasn't easy, but through diligent work on social media and Canadian newspapers, he found the family, who came to the Netherlands and eventually made their way to that lonely tree in the woods, right next to the old battlefield.
You know, you're standing there and you're looking at that tree, and you know that the last time probably that Harold was actually alive was standing beside this tree. And it just gave me goosebumps to know that I was standing next to the tree where Harold, who I never knew, had been standing.
Now Arbouw is in Ottawa to do more research for a book he's writing about Rossell and another Canadian soldier, John Tuckey of Ottawa, who both made the ultimate sacrifice so far from home.
Before I started this, basically everything I knew about the Canadians and the Canadian involvement in the liberation was all the cliches, you know, the tulips and tulips on tanks and Canadian boys kissing girls. Well, it wasn't the politicians and it wasn't the officers that liberated the Netherlands. I mean, it was basically just normal boys.
Sandra Abma, CBC News, Ottawa.